my first experience with having an HIV test was when I was expecting my daughter, and I was tested, but I was never given my results. And if my daughter had tested HIV positive, I would hate the system because they never gave me my result. Till today, I don't know whether I was positive then when I was expecting my baby, or is she just a miracle because I did not take any nevirapine while I was pregnant. But nobody told me what the result was. And I think that's such a bad thing, that people decide for you whether you are ready or not to get the result. People did not have the information on how knowing your status at that point would affect really who you are, and how I still believe if I was negative then and got my result, I would be negative today. Because it was a time where HIV was so rife in our country and everybody was trying to do things. They were more focused on finding out how many people are HIV positive than focusing on the human being and saying, you are HIV negative, this is how you deal with it. You are positive, this is how you deal with it. But I just can't, I love for a day where women are really not fighting for PMTCT, women access it freely, women get encouraged to know their statuses, and people don't decide on their behalf. The first person, funny, I disclosed to was my cousin, who was my colleague at the time, and her response was, "Akshay, how long do you have to live?" And I did not have much information on HIV, but the minute I turned around, she went and disclosed my status to our boss, and that's how my status was basically disclosed. I was very hurt because I haven't dealt with HIV. I wasn't okay. I wasn't ready yet to tell people that I'm HIV positive, but I had to deal with people's snide remarks, people looking at me in a different way. And I was just wondering how many other people she told. And I later found out that basically there was a meeting discussing my HIV status where, I just want you guys to know this is happening to Yvette. And by that time, I hadn't even disclosed to my mother. And it was so painful. No matter how people disclose, if I decide to disclose first in public and then to my mother, I think that's my decision. But I didn't feel it was her place to basically disclose my status to anybody else. Because I think I'm number one. I usually disclose almost immediately to anybody. But when it gets intimate, it becomes when you really like the person and you're like, okay, how are they going to run away? It becomes scary. But I do disclose basically before it becomes intimate. But it depends also on, is this the person that I want to disclose to? What does this person mean to me? Would I want to take it a little bit further than just being friends? If it's friends, I disclose immediately. But if it's somebody that I really like and I know HIV might be the barrier between us, it takes time. And when they run away or they don't accept me, it does become very painful. It hurts. I think our government has never taken a stand on issues regarding HIV and AIDS. The vagueness of our president regarding issues that has to do with HIV and AIDS plays a big role in where we are today. If I had one opportunity to tell him, I would tell him, you know what? I'm positive because you were ignorant when everybody was doing something about it. And young people today are lucky because they have activists, they've got organizations standing up for their issues. But back then, it was very difficult. And I think what our government needs to do is run they shouldn't run and lose their focus. They should do stuff, concrete stuff, more than just trying to get big numbers, like the overinflated NSP, National Strategic Plan of South Africa. It's not workable. There's no way you can do all of those things in one time, in 1 year, or in the time frames that they set out there for themselves, and getting these organizations to work together. Are they representing young people on the NSP? Is SANEC really representing us? My question. Young people in South Africa have so much things and issues surrounding HIV, and the picture that they have seen about HIV is that of pain, that of fear, and basically when they do know they're HIV positive, and they sometimes are part of those who mock people who are living with HIV, who makes other people living with HIV's lives difficult, and you find it happening to yourself, and young people are basically scared. And I think that's also how the prevalence rate in our country is so high, because young people basically, they would rather not tell their status in fear of being out, in fear of being stigmatized, and in fear of basically losing that people that is around you. Let's say 25% of the young people are activists in this country, but the other 75% are basically those who don't know how to deal with the HIV, and they are the ones that basically are cornered in a way to not speak about it and end up reinfecting others. I was diagnosed shortly after my baby was born, and taking her to go and get tested, because I didn't get my results when I was pregnant, when I did my HIV test. Taking my daughter to go and get tested, and I was so worried that she might be HIV positive, and when I realized she was HIV negative, was such a blessing for me. It was like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I was so excited. I knew that I wanted to live for this precious life that I was responsible for, and it was just the best day ever for me. Your kids, you are their hero, and they model what you do. And I remember when my daughter went to daycare and it disclosed her status, which was not positive, to the other kids, and said, I'm HIV positive. And I was called in and to explain why didn't I disclose that to the school, but they didn't understand my daughter was not HIV positive. I was just role modeling. I was her role model so much that she was repeating what I was saying. And after that, I came back and explained to her that I'm HIV positive. And she started crying because she was about 5, 6. Does that mean you're going to die? And all of that. I said, no, everybody goes to heaven eventually, everybody dies, but I'm going to live for as long as I can for you. And that time I told her that I'm going to still have a baby brother for her, and we're going to be a big, happy family. You feel you have so little time that you almost overprotective over your kids. That's a struggle, because you need to be a mother. You need to make sure you're a good parent. And finding the line between the two, is very difficult, because you are worried that you might not have long enough, and you want to have spent quality time versus quantity time and all of that. My dream for my kids is basically to just love one another and to be adults in a world without HIV. And for my kids, I see it possible. For our kids' generation, I see it possible that they won't have to go through the struggles that I go through. That they don't have to disclose and figure out whether this person really likes me or not, that they are just themselves. So my dream for them is a world without AIDS, a world without HIV, where they can just be themselves. It's inside of you. You just need to search for it. You just need to take time and look at and listen to yourself and dream some more. Go back to the drawing board what did you want to be? You know, where would you see, and how can HIV, how has HIV messed that up? And also now, how can HIV help for you to reach that stage where you want to be? How can it nourish those dreams? By being a stronger person and just accepting that they did nothing wrong. I think a lot of women, we ask themselves basically, what did I do wrong? I only had one boyfriend, you know what I'm saying? So they did nothing wrong. And they're big, strong women. Hi everybody, my name is Yvette from Limpopo province in South Africa, and I've been living with HIV for 7 years. Then I can see, never judge a book, no baby, unless you're ready to read. There's more than this, then I can see, never judge a book, no